Factsverse presents 15 Things You Didn't Know About Earth. You'd think that since we live on this planet, we'd know everything there is to know about Earth. And while we do know a lot of things about our mother planet, there are some things that we don't know. In fact, here are 15 things you probably didn't know about Earth, and some of them might even surprise you. Before we jump into our video, do us a favor by clicking that like button. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. We all know that there are 24 hours in a day, right? I mean, a full day is the time it takes the Earth to spin on its axis, and that's 24 hours. Well, not exactly. What you might not know is that Earth actually spends 23 hours and 56 minutes per day. We add the extra 4 minutes to each day because the distance that the Earth orbits the Sun is so great that it takes extra time for us to face the Sun again. The Earth spins slower and slower every year, too. They estimate that in about 250 million years, the typical day on Earth will only be about 90 minutes. There is an area in Canada known as Hudson Bay, and it has an uneven mass and uneven gravity. There were once glaciers in that area that melted a long time ago. Well, now they're gone, but the burden of gravity remains in the ice sheets and underneath the Earth's crust. This results in lower gravity in this area than anywhere else on Earth. Now, that doesn't mean that you can visit the place and feel like you're walking on the moon. The difference in gravity is only about 0.005% reduction. The change is so small you won't be able to feel it. The first photo of Earth ever taken was in 1946. A camera was strapped to a V-2 missile 65 miles above the Earth's atmosphere. The camera managed to snap a frame every second and a half, and the rocket survived re-entry. The scientists involved in the project were ecstatic. They couldn't believe that there was finally now a photo of the Earth in existence. In 1967, the full-color image of the Earth was taken by the Dodge satellite. These photos led to the beginning of a better understanding of the world where we live. Have you ever wondered why oceans are so salty? Well, most of the salt in the water comes from the rocks on the shore. Rainwater is naturally acidic, and it breaks down the rocks and then distributes its components into the water. The seawater salt is so dense that if you were to dissolve all the oceans in the world and spread the salt across the Earth, you would still have a 500-foot thick salt layer coating absolutely everything. That is a lot of salt. Fortunately, our oceans will never dry up, at least not in our lifetime, so that means we don't have to deal with an excessive salt issue, at least not on the Earth. In your diet, however, well, that's between you and your doctor. There is a place in Death Valley known as Racetrack Playa. In this area, rocks can actually move on their own from place to place. And it's not just tiny pebbles that are moving on their own either. There are rocks in the area that weigh tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of pounds that are able to move on their own. Scientists believe the reason rocks in this area move is that they are ice-encrusted and they are flooded by meltwater from the hills, and that makes the ground very slick. When a strong wind blows, even though the rocks are that heavy, the rocks could still move. It's a crazy phenomenon that you'll only see in Death Valley.
If you suffer from diabetes type 2 or pre-diabetes, this might be the most.
What'd you think of some of those things?
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of content. Yeah. It's a smorgasbord. We're not going to do like all 15 of each thing. There's several of those, but because each class will change, we'll be adding new content. But I just thought it was fascinating, some of the things, the rocks moving in the desert. I mean, I just never would have thought about that. And all of these things are on our Earth. Anything struck you in what we've seen so far? Okay, let's go on.
Most important video you ever watched.
Oh, what a day. Okay, here are some other facts. Now, again, it's a smorgasbord. Take with you what you want. Some things I'll just be showing pictures and you can get the content. But what struck me about this is that Earth is the only known planet to support life, at least life as we know it. And then here are some of the statistics. It supposedly is 4.6 billion years old. And then the rest of the things you can see. It's the densest planet in the solar system and the atmosphere. And then here's another group of facts. Earth, the gravity between Earth and the moon causes the tides on Earth. You may have heard that in our classes. But this part I thought was interesting. Earth is the only planet not named for a mythological god or goddess. The current population as of May 2021 was 7.9 billion people. It's probably increased since that time. Well, I don't know. With COVID, who knows? Okay, here's a quote. The one thing all humans share is that we all inhabit the same limited amount of real estate, which is planet Earth. So that's a quote by Ingalls, and we all share this planet. Now here's a forest in Poland that I thought was very interesting, and it's the forest. You may have seen this. Some people have seen this before.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
Yes, it is. These trees were planted in 1930, and somehow they grew with a 90-degree hook or bent at the base. And of course, there are all kinds of myths as to why this has happened, the wind, snowstorms. Somebody actually carved them like that. But I just think it's sort of interesting that there would be curved trees like this, like fish hooks. It's always this unusual phenomena. And then this is another one that interests me. It was a lake in Australia. It's a bubblegum color. It's pink. You can see it here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the layers going to like the beach. It's beautiful. It's almost like a painting. It's plenty of fish living in its waters, and it's even safe for swimming, although tourists are not allowed in the water. The color remains a mystery. They don't know if it was bacteria or chemical reaction or algae that would cause it, but it's like a bubble gum. This is a part of the pretty work. Now it's really interesting in New Zealand. These are the gourds that we use at like holiday times. We often use them in our decoration gourds. And these are humongous, and they're like boulders.
That's amazing.
Yeah, seem to have washed ashore. Yeah, it really is. It's phenomenal if you think about it. So we've gone from hooked trees to bubblegum water to these boulder gourds, and all on our planet Earth. And I never really